back to channel. Welcome back, channel. How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Boys in Blue 9320, the Desi home for all things Manchester City and football in general. Firstly, before introducing our panel and everything, I would like to say a big thank you for helping us to reach 100 subscribers in just 1 month of our
Let's
operation.
go.
So
Let's go.
like, everyone, I'm really thankful for that. I'm really grateful and humbled. From all of us at Boys and Blues, a big thank you to everyone. We're really grateful, we're really humbled about it. And we keep on going, keep on doing, we keep putting on more and more videos like this. And let's keep it going. Let's keep it beyond the next target. Let's keep it beyond 100. Let's go for the next milestone, 200, 300. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the family growing up. So for that, we have from the OG gang, we have Doc in the house. Yo, Doc, all good. And now for a
All good.
change, we have a special guest who's making his debut on Boys in Blue. One of my close friends, one of my fellow Blues, and I think so for Doc as well. I mean, we know him from quite long time.
Yeah,
Sharupam Nag,
it's been a long while.
all the way from London. We got an NRI guest. See, for 100 subscribers, what we have to do.
Yes.
We had the people from beyond the seas. Welcome,
Delighted to
welcome,
be here.
welcome, Rupam. Welcome.
Absolute pleasure.
How's it going? How's it going? All good?
Yeah, very good. Absolutely fantastic. How you guys doing?
We're elated with
All good.
what we just saw, and we're quite excited for the deadline and everything what's going on, and we're relieved that it's finally going to be over. This 3 months hula hoop is finally coming to an end.
Yes.
It's been quite the journey.
It's quite the journey, man. It's quite the journey, and I think so. The window that we had, I must say, it's not a bad one. It's more than decent. It's like
It's a solid one. I think
it's a solid, yeah.
we gained more quality than we lost. So I honestly
Yeah,
cannot complain. Complain.
no
We
complaints from
got
me, from my
what
side.
I believe is by some distance the best young defender in the world, better
Uh,
than Saliba. I hope no Arsenal fans are in here. Better than Saliba. Absolute coup
Not
for
yet,
us.
but at some point they will not yet.
So very happy with the way things have gone. We pretty much got everyone we targeted, every profile we targeted at
Yeah.
least. So genuinely cannot complain.
Even I mean
And
the
to all the
worry,
Arsenal fans who
worry for
think that they could one up us against Declan Rice, we never wanted him in the first place. We just wanted West Ham to earn money because they've been very good supporters of us.
Yeah, all we did was a drive up his price by about 20 million. So
20 million only.
Exactly.
And the fact that this is the first time even we kind of shocked Arsenal fans is like how the fuck this club makes a bid which is 25 million higher than their previous bid. I was like, where are these balls coming from? Like, how they generated these balls and all. But
yeah,
like
that's not
even if I
quite like Arsenal.
talk about the squad, yeah, because I think so now we have a 23-man squad. Uh, as of now, as the pod has been recorded. 24th could be if Cancelo doesn't end up leaving, but I think so. As far the latest update is concerned, Mendes is close to send him to Barcelona. He's kind of at Sporting City at Barcelona to complete the deals for Joao Felix and Joao Cancelo. So I think so. Yeah, it's 23-man squad. Uh, yeah, 23-man squad because so apparently I think so in terms of the squad size we have, it's not that bad. Okay, we have pretty decent. Although the thing is that one or two injuries might kind of create a bit of an issue, but till January, I think so we can hold up on our own. Maybe this extra time has been seen as something that kind of could infuriate injury concerns. But I think so the amount of signings that we have made I don't expect that to go ahead and go for like a 5 or 6 signings that we have in those 2017 2018 window. Where probably we went ahead and we bought it like 6 to 7 first teamers. So I think I have to open the question over there that in terms of what the whole window panned out, because it was not an easy window. We look for your Guardiola deals or you look for your Doku and the Nunes. Things took time. It wasn't like you just kind of opened up a negotiation and did it in 15 days. And also, this is a window which is pretty much particular for the fact that there are no add-ons in any of our signings. There is no sell-on clause in any of our signings. And all, out of those four, we have two of them who are 21 years old. Where I think so, a seller club would kind of push the narrative of adding sell-on clause or like any other form of add-ons. So,
कुछ
were you
नहीं
happy
अब बताओ क्या हुआ.
when things what happened? Yeah, so when things were kind of bit slowed on everything, were you guys a little worried? Were you like that maybe this might not happen, or maybe again it's the same thing
I think
going on?
there was a brief period in the Guardiola deal where it looked like after weeks of negotiation, the clubs were just simply unwilling to come to an agreement. So I was a little bit worried regarding the Guardiola deal because this is one player that I really wanted at the club. Uh, Not because it
I
was
can
a
verify that.
position of immediate need,
I can
because
verify that. I can verify your demand for Guardiola. I can verify that. I know. I've been there.
yeah, I'm a massive fan of that player. I think we didn't absolutely need someone of his profile, but it's more the caliber of player because I think he's just generational. It's more about not letting him go to another top club than
Yeah,
about getting him. And he's settled in pretty well already, so extremely happy with that signing. But it was a month or so ago when things were not progressing as quickly as most of our deals usually do. I was a little
yeah.
concerned, I won't lie, but we got the job done at the end of the day, so pretty happy with pretty happy with that deal.
Doc, you there? I think so. He's facing some connection issues. I
Yeah,
think
it's
so he'll be
struggling a
back.
little bit.
Some connection issues. So yeah, I mean also I felt that it's more of like a destiny thing as well because last year he was very close
Yeah,
to join Chelsea, but then in
yeah,
January they pulled the plug and they went ahead and they went ahead and signed Badiashile from Monaco. Then they kind of uh, discard that provisional agreement, and then he came back into the market and we signed him. So even if I have to look for the tendency of going for our first targets or second targets or third targets, barring Nunes, oh sorry, barring Doku, because we had Police as our first choice, and Doku was basically somewhere closer to Olise, but then with I think so when the news came out about this release clause being really complex, I think that we kind of uh, we stepped back and it's like we don't want to get into that mess, and then we went for Doku. So now I think so the team looks a bit sharper. Although the problem was regarding that, when from a departure of Gundogan and Mahrez, that output that these guys produce on pitch. The
yeah.
main concern was that how you're gonna replicate that or how you're gonna kind of fill those gaps. Because that was the whole question of this window, that how you're gonna compensate for those gaps in terms of your goals and assists that your Gundogan and Mahrez delivers. So, do you think with these signings, if not of those figures, we can at least get to a particular level where we can manage, and then others like your Rodri stepping up and your Foden. This is basically what we see as the quintessential Foden season, where he will be at the center stage after Kevin De Bruyne's injury. So, do you see that these four signings kind of at least be able to give that substantial amount of GNA so that others can step up and fill those void?
I think, especially after the Mateus Nunez signing, I'm a lot more confident in getting goals and assists from midfield because that was a vital part of Gundogan's game. I think for a midfielder to have that kind of box presence, it might be second to none in the world when it comes to that specific trait. So I don't think Nunez is a player of that level when it comes to grabbing clutch goals or assists, but
Mm.
He can score. He can shoot the ball. He can provide assists. He's more of a transitional player,
Mm.
linking defense to attack and fast breaks. Although that's a basketball term, but counter attacks, he's really good in those. But he
Yeah.
contributes with goals and assists, so which Kovacic, on the other hand, will rarely do. So I was a little bit worried when we only signed Kovacic to replace Gundogan, but
Mm.
since the Mateus Nunes signing, I'm feeling a lot better in that regard. And as for replacing Mahrez with Doku, I think uh, that they're somewhat different players. They perceive their roles differently. They have different characteristics coming up against defenders, but both of them are excellent taking on the man and creating chances, like dribbles completed per 90 and chance creation per 90. The numbers are pretty similar. So I think we've done a pretty decent job of replacing profiles, if not the exact player. So, and we can't run the exact same team year after year. Things need
Correct.
to change,
Yeah.
and I think
Absolutely.
we've done a pretty good job in that regard.
I think that that's something that I kind of see a very distinctive thing with cities. Like the players that leave are not the players that they walked in. So those players when they leave, they're kind of like a very unique players. Those are we call it like a unicorn players. That you cannot. There will be very rare players who kind of exactly step into that shoes. Either you have to get in a player of similar profile and develop him in a way that he kind of at some point replicate that performance that you had seen from Gundogan or Mahrez and everything. So
Yeah,
and also even for Dog. So the net spend of Manchester City as of now currently stands at around 31 to 32 million pounds. So basically, you got these four players within less than not 50, less than 40 or close to 30. Okay, so does now and in the earlier times we used to heard praises about Manchester United Academy and Chelsea Academy and all of that. But whenever you talk about the prices at which the academy players have been going on, and they have went earlier, is the narrative completely shifted that it's not them, it's now us because we have basically funded our around 80 to 90% of our academy players. Like we can now go beyond your 200 million as purchase figure while not being worried about what in the end what are we paying because we have our academy players to kind of get into the market and they can get that top dollar figure. Like this season, Cole Palmer broke that 25 million shield and he went for 45 million actually. So 42.5, not 45. I just checked it's 42.5. But still, he's the. By the way, just to add to it, Cole Palmer is the third highest sales figure that City has ever recorded in their books after Ferran Torres and Leroy Sané. So now, could you see Academy like more than just supplying into the sport? Is the academy is more of like a commercial entity in the way that this is just like an insurance cover that
just
if
to
you're going ahead,
interrupt you there, wasn't Jesus more?
Jesus was 47, 40, sorry, Jesus was 40 or 42. Jesus was similar figure, I think so.
I think it was close to 50, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. I don't know.
So it will be, I think so. If so, I would like to correct myself. It would be in top five then, if not
Yeah, he's
top
up
three
there.
at
He's up
least.
there. I don't
So
know
top
how.
five.
I'm glad. I don't know how he's commanded that fee, but I'm delighted.
Now I'll be honest. If there is any club who can even come close to that figure, that would have been Chelsea. There is no other club. It like I think so. Even I've spoken to talk about this. Like when you talk about these figures, 45 million, 50 million for academy players, you can expect those figures from your PSGs, your Chelseas, or your maybe Bayerns or Real. So either it's one of them, but at this stage it has to be Chelsea because Chelsea is spending like mad. Like there's no end to their spending. So yeah, but since you're talking about Cole Palmer, how big of a loss do you guys think, Doc and Rupam? Or is it just like, it's fine, don't bother, don't care anything about it? So, or does it actually make? Is it any kind of a loss as well for our squad, or it's like it's fine.
feel I feel it's more of the potential we would have probably got out of Palmer, and I feel what we saw from him in the Community Shield and what we saw from him in even in the Super Cup, or if we have to consider the other games that he's played in, I saw a stark difference in how he has approached the game, considering how how would you say he was very selfish in the initial games. He wanted to prove himself, but in that he ended up kind of ruining the flow of the game that Pep expects from the team. As I was reading something that apparently Pep expects around 14 or 12 to 14 passes after we've recovered the ball to consider it to be a good point of attack. That's it. Like even after getting the ball, he doesn't expect us ki, "Haan, just go for the attack." You need to have at least 12 passes so that we can actually think of attacking, because that's when we know that we are comfortable on the ball. Now with Palmer, I clearly remember he used to play left wing initially, and he used to be somewhat like, oh wait, yeah, he's going to try to cut in, he's going to try to play like Mahrez, and ended up almost every time either losing the ball or making a sky shot. But what we saw
Yeah,
from him in Community Shield, what we saw from him in if we have to consider the Super Cup, we saw that he was trying to prove more towards the game rather than towards the the individual showing. And I thought that would have had a major impact on him being selected in Pep's eyes, but I'm pretty sure the discussion they must have had would have been key. We can't afford to have you. We can't possibly give you that much game time, to be honest.
exactly. And especially if you're getting close to 45 million for a player who's not one of the first names in on the team sheet, like
Mhm.
it's not even one of the first players to come off the bench to try and impact the game. He's
That,
I agree with you um in the fact that he played a lot better this season than he did at the end of last season when he got some game
Mhm.
time, especially the game against Chelsea that we won 1-0 at home to confirm the title. Uh,
Mhm.
I think he just looked like a player who wasn't built for this Manchester City team, and I completely changed my opinion on him. Watching him in preseason, in the Community Shield, in the Super Cup, he looked much more ready to be a part of the squad, but obviously not as important a part as you would like for him to be, to not consider accepting a 45 million bid, which is absolutely massive. I mean, I still can't understand how Chelsea have valued him at that much. Again, he's had
You got
a
you got to
solid.
thank Tom Bowley for that, for trying to mark up the prices to 45 million.
Yeah, exactly that. So you can't refuse those sums when a player is
Definitely,
being overvalued by, I would say, close to 50% of his actual value. You
definitely.
can't ignore that unless he is one of the most important players in the squad, which obviously he wasn't.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also that because after the Super Cup game, when this whole press conference happened and he was asked about his future, and he kind of openly said that I want to play more and I'm not sure whether I'll be here. I think that kind of also bit pissed off Guardiola a little because when he was asked about his future, he came out guns blazing and said that he's staying or he's leaving. So that kind of
Yeah,
also a little bit of a friction between their relationship. And when you do realize that when Guardiola kind of has that little ill feeling towards you, he don't want you in the squad. And the fact that if he would have wanted him, he would have done something to kind of convince him to stay, and you'll get your chances and everything. Barring the fact that yes, Doku's arrival also makes it harder for him
yeah,
to kind of have that season. I can understand that, but also I think so Guardiola didn't see much value in him because in that position where he plays, we have Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden to kind of operate in those positions, and they'll still be ahead of him. So he'll
Yeah.
be basically staying basically. I mean, his position will be in the same. Like he'll be sitting in the bench this season. He was on the bench last season as well. So might as well. But again, for what I kind of find it surprising to believe that out of all the clubs on English soil, Chelsea should be your last destination as a player at this stage. Even if Mauricio Pochettino is known as someone who can develop young talent, but still, that club is a cesspool of like those clubs are picking up players like someone who picks cherries in a garden. So I mean, it will be interesting for me to see how his career pans out because that is something because now this is on him. The club he chose to go. Now it's on him. If anything damaging happened to his career, it's basically solely on him rather than anyone else because he had very options because you had Brentford coming for 30. You had your I think the foreign clubs were also interested in Cole Palmer's. Or Dortmund was interested, and Dortmund was kind of matched the Brighton's bid. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, all the best to him.
Yeah, exactly
Wherever he
that.
goes.
Like
Yeah,
as things stand, he's not a 45 million player, but we got 45 million
100%.
for him.
Not
Maybe
even
in
Chelsea
a
fans.
couple of
Not
years,
even Chelsea
he
fans believe that. Not even Chelsea
To,
fans believe that
to,
it's a 40 million.
to think that Chelsea fans are ready to believe that Cole Palmer is 45 million, but
No,
we
they
still
don't.
managed to buy
Even one crore.
Mateo Kovacic for cheaper. We still managed to buy Mateo Kovacic for cheaper,
Yeah,
who's
we
a proved
actually.
guy.
That's why
The guy is a
I,
four-time Champions League winner.
so, uh, I know someone
maybe
who's
in
a
a few
Chelsea fan.
years, Cole Palmer, turns out to be an absolute world beater. The next coming
Okay,
of I don't
That
know,
is if
Ryan
that
Giggs
is
let
or
me
if
put
something.
he's
this
been
out in front
loaned
of you
out to
guys.
some
So let me
team
put this
that
out in
we
front of
don't
you
know.
guys. So Cole Palmer to Strasbourg. In which year it's gonna happen? Let me put this question now. Cole Palmer to Strasbourg. When can
If
when
if
do you expect to
if
see
it
an
has to
heavy goal
happen, if it
that
has to
concert?
happen, it will happen next year. If it has to happen, it'll happen next year. I don't think the Chelsea is going to be that patient with him.
No, no, no. Of
If
course
if
not.
if he
If
doesn't
anything the
perform by
Chelsea
the end
fans
of
are
the
not
season,
known,
yeah,
they're not known to be patient. If anything the Chelsea fans are not known to be, then they're not known to be patient.
they're not
If he doesn't
they
perform,
weren't
then he
they
keeps
are not
backing.
patient with their managers. What will they be patient with their players?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully
We'll see how it
Pochettino
goes. We'll
stays
see how
for.
it goes. I wish him well.
I hope
He's
he's
a good
able
lad.
to. I hope he's able to prove himself. But
Yeah,
I would have been
I mean,
very optimistic had it not been Chelsea.
he's been here. He has been there for 15 years. Okay, just to cut you off, guys. There's one
Mhm.
thing that just came popped up. Joao Palina will not join FC Bayern as things stand.
He's
So
playing
we'll
against us
expect him in the
tomorrow. Then
Fulham game. Yeah, we
that
expect him in the
basically
Fulham game
means he's playing against us.
and because the transfer window in Germany has now officially closed. So Palina is back to Fulham, boys. And talking about
Good for
that,
Fulham.
talking about Fulham, let's talk about the Fulham game. It's gonna happen tomorrow. It's an home game, and
Yeah.
as I've seen that Fulham has won 4 games against us in the entirety of the head-to-head games that we had with Fulham. They won
When
just
was the
four
last
games.
time?
I don't even
I don't
remember.
remember in some dark age or maybe I don't remember in what time. Maybe some another parallel universe or some dark age. But they have won 4 games and
I'm
they
trying
are
to remember
they've been
if
lying in
in the 20 early 2010s when Felix Magath was their manager. I'm trying to remember
yeah.
if they ever beat us, but don't think so. No, can't think so.
But I mean, let's talk about that game. So they don't have Mitrovic
They don't.
now.
They have Raul Jimenez instead.
They are all Jimenez
Oh,
instead.
I'd like to break you off for just a second. So I was able to find out the last time Fulham beat us was surprisingly at Etihad. 14 years ago,
14
12th
years,
April
2011.
2009.
So, oh, sorry, yeah,
Oh, at that
2009.
time, it's fine.
Did Clint Dempsey score a goal?
Uh, just trying-
I'm just
yes,
trying to
it was
remember.
Clint Dempsey. It was a brace by Clint Dempsey and
I think I
a
remember that
goal
game.
by
Yeah.
Dixon Ituhu. In 2009, we were getting Dixon.
So I mean, I think so. They have added.
I think I remember that game. Yeah.
Adam,
Mhm.
they have added Adama Traore, and I think so
Yeah.
they added Adama Traore, and then who's there? Alex
That
Iwobi is also
guy,
coming in now, right?
Uh, they're looking to sign Alex Iwobi, although now with the Polinia deal off, I don't know if that goes through. But they've got some really good defensive additions. They've got Calvin Bassey from Ajax,
Calvin
obviously,
Bassey,
who
from
is
yeah.
a pretty good young talented player. And from Leicester, they got Timothy Castagne to play fullback,
Yes.
wingback, however they like. So those are pretty
They
solid
also signed a
additions for
keeper as
Fulham.
well. They signed a keeper as
They
well,
got
Steven
Paulo
Benda.
Gazzaniga. What?
They signed a keeper called Steven Benda from Swansea. I think so.
Ah,
I think
okay.
he's Burnley's backup. I guess he's Burnley's backup.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, they've got a pretty solid squad. They've obviously strengthened it. Losing their best or second best player in Mitrovic doesn't help, but Raul Jimenez played pretty well against Arsenal, so he could prove to be a really solid addition. I like that squad. I think they'll be a tough matchup since it's at home. I fully expect us to win, but it's a good team. It's a good Fulham team.
Yeah, I mean, but also like before going to international break, we don't want like a 100% win record because we are close to having that 100% win, 100% success rate and getting those 12 points on the board before
Yeah,
moving to international break. Uh, yeah, I agree with that. Their squad is decent. I mean, even though they have lost out on Mitrovic, but they still have Raul Jimenez who can on his day do wonders. And I think so. Adama Traore with Timothy Castagna, Scalvin Bassey, and Adama Traore. The defense is also looking quite well, and Adama Traore can also play on wings. So you have a versatile player in that. Even though his Barcelona stint didn't work out, but there's still a player in him, and they bought them on free transfer. Which is again, I think so. For me,
just lots of me there. Yeah, just continuing from what he was going for. I really like this Fulham team. Obviously, Adama Traore is a great addition. He played really well against Arsenal. He really gave the defenders a tough time. I think
that
the
guy is the
keeper.
worst nightmare in Premier League.
What?
That guy is our worst nightmare in Premier League.
Yeah, he is one of our kryptonites, isn't he? So I'm a little worried
Definitely.
how we're going to defend Adama Traore. He'll come against Guardiola, I believe, if he's starting. So that'll be a good matchup. Mm, I think they might go for. If I talk about the lineup, they're definitely gonna have Bernd Leno in goal, and the back four should probably be unchanged. Anthony Robinson at left back, right back should be Tete, who
Mhm.
gave away that penalty. Um, Tim Ream and Issa Diop as a centre backs. I think I'm assuming Polina is going to start alongside Andreas Pereira, and they might go for Adama Traore in right midfield, with the front three being Bobby the Cordova Reed, striker being Raul Jimenez, and on the wing Harry Wilson and Traore can keep switching. I think that's probably the lineup that they're going to go with. And uh, if I read into the lineup, I think there's a lot of goals from different players. Pereira can score. Bobby Reed has a knack of scoring goals. Raul Jimenez, obviously, before that head injury, was a solid striker for Wolves, and Harry Wilson on his day as well can strike the ball pretty well. So they've got goals. Polinia just scored against Arsenal the other week. Um, so yeah, they've got 5 or 6 different players who, on their day, can bag a goal. So there's a number of players you need to worry about. It's a solid team. I just think we're better. That's the difference.
Definitely. I don't expect us to lose at all. I expect us to have a dominating display because I
Yeah,
feel we've had a very submissive approach if we look at our last 2 or 3 seasons.
yeah,
We've always tend to make a more uh, dominating approach towards the second half of the season, and that tends to bring us in a big tense situation by the time we go into the second half. So
yeah,
if we are able to somehow make the approach more dominant in the initial part of the season, I think it'll be much better for us, barring the fact that our players don't get too relaxed and start taking it for too granted. Because if I honestly feel what Arsenal did do by the end of the season last year was more of a relaxed approach, thinking that yeah, we're gonna probably win the league. City won't be able to match it, and that's what we saw. They lost 2 games in a row in a part of the season where even a draw would possibly derail your approach to the Premier League. Losing games to Nottingham Forest, losing games to Brighton. Let me change that.
yeah,
Getting destroyed by Brighton and losing games to Nottingham Forest. So
yeah.
it
Drawing against
that
Southampton at home.
exactly
That brings
while
up.
being 3 goals down, while being 3 goals down.
You know, the most funny part about that Southampton game was Theo Walcott scored against them. And like how Arsenal this can be, where Walcott scored against you. Yeah, but coming to Fulham game, of course, like I think so with the squad now we have, our squad is complete enough to challenge on all fronts.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
my internet is fucking up really bad, so I really apologize for any kind of disruption on that. But
It's okay.
in
It's
terms
not
of
like it's Manchester United window.
yeah, just like that.
and they
I'll
signed
probably
Sofia
just do some
Amrabat, guys. They're all good.
man, but like just to cut it off, 1 million bid for Amrabat. I was like, how FFP really broke you guys or what? Like 1 million loan bid. Now they have accepted those demands and now they're paying 10 million loan. But I mean 1 million loan. I was laughing my ass off when I saw that 1 million loan bid. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
they're really
to
struggling,
get back,
aren't they?
they are, yeah. And
The
surprisingly,
guys
yeah,
from
they are.
Zagreb.
When
Yeah,
coming from a club who claims that we have the highest revenue uh, in the footballing world, and then
they claim a
this,
lot of things. They claim a lot of
yeah,
things. Their
that
fans are beyond delusional. Yeah, coming back
I
to
mean
the
when you claim like this and when you yeah, you're saying something.
yeah, I was just gonna go back to the discussing the Fulham game. I think the
Yeah,
key duel we have to look out for is Josep Guardiola against Adama Traore. That's going to be a battle and a half, and I think if that that's a key
yeah,
battle. If we win, we're probably going to win the game. I don't really have concerns against their defense. Like, I think our forwards are going to be fine against their defense. Uh, they've got a pretty decent centre back partnership, as I mentioned, of Issa Diop and Tim Ream, who's probably going to start. Um, I don't think Haaland's going to have any concerns at all against that partnership. But it's defensively that they can cause us problems, as I was discussing before. You had connectivity issues. They have like 4 or 5 different players who can bag a goal. Raul Jimenez, Joao Polinia is staying, so he's probably going to start. You got Bobby the Cordova Reed.
I think
You've got
I think so they'll
Harry
kind of
Wilson.
keep him
You've
away
got
for this
Andres
game.
Pereira.
I think so for
Alright, so
so
if we have
what I feel
to,
about
if we have to talk about, if we have to talk about something,
no, I think
how
what I was
about we
saying
have
that
a sport?
Joe Palina, yeah, I think so after that Bayern moved there because he did his medical at Bayern and then it pulled and then it
Okay,
fell off. So I think so they might kind of keep him away from this game just to kind of get him back mentally
Phil,
fit.
I hope so. I fucking hope so.
I I I, I guess that, but there are rumors coming out in the circuit that Jeremy Doku might get his first start against Fulham.
I would love that. I would love that. I
So, what are
need
the
that.
team that we are looking at?
Yeah, I think yeah, Jeremy Doku is one name that has been going on rounds that he might get his start uh, against Fulham actually.
So, who's getting
And
benched?
my best guess would be Grealish. My best guess.
So, Foden comes in on the left wing, or Doku comes in on the left wing?
Doku
I
comes in
think
on
Doku
left
will
wing
be hmm,
because apparently
possible.
if you've seen that training if you've seen that I think the training video, Doku was mostly playing on the left. If you've seen those training videos that came out, Doku was playing mostly on the left. So
Yeah,
this if the rumor is true, then I think so. Doku is playing on left, and you might have Bernardo playing on the right, and Foden is playing central. So this is what I expect if Doku comes in
that'll be
and
a
gets
good
a start.
lineup. I'm excited to see Jack Grealish out of the lineup for a change. Like he's a great player. I like Jack Grealish. I like Jack Grealish. He's a great player. But I would love to see something different. A different kind of player in
Yeah, but
different kind of player in the
I've
left
been
wing.
meaning to ask you guys, Jack Grealish as a left winger. Like, see, we had a season, and it's the second season. I guess it's the third season where he's playing a left winger.
Yeah.
Are you still convinced with him that he is cut out to be a left winger, or do you still feel that maybe he would play more central? Then that would be much better for him as a player instead of like keeping the team coordination aside for a bit. I'm just talking about what's best for him as a player. Would
I feel if
going
we
more
look
central
at
is what you prefer?
if we look at Grealish's player profile, if we look at how he plays, how he has his approach to the game, I feel he will be a major asset for us centrally because if you look at his game, he has the capability of uh, he's basically a magnet. He pulls all his players towards him. He tries to get a foul, and which is successful in 80% of the cases. Now, imagining he does that on the wings, and definitely you are rewarded a lot, but his approach towards attack when he has the ball is very submissive in the point of view that he not only slows down the play, regardless of it being a counter attack or if it being a normal attack, he also tends to basically give the other team to accommodate into a more defensive position because his approach with the ball in the final third is very slow and we do tend to lose those perfect chances when the defense of the opposition is much more how do I say unorganized because the time he takes to get the ball in the box the defense is more or less in a formation enough to defend or intercept most of the passes by him. If he plays more centrally, not only do we get more approaches towards free kick, considering he is very much capable of getting fouls in the center as well, but I feel it will also add to his attacking prowess, considering he favors his right foot almost every time. Even if when he's coming through the wings into the box, he will tend to uh, cut in with his right foot and try to shoot. So if he is supposedly playing centrally, he will have more opportunities to shoot and try to score a goal. Now coming to his defensive prowess, we have seen how well he goes back when the other team counters. We've seen his amazing. I remember his amazing run when Salah was free and
Yeah.
he ran back almost the entire field and was able
He had
to
one
intercept
against
the
Son as
ball.
well.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it's not your regular winger. It's one of the best players
Yeah,
in the world.
yeah. And considering he can definitely add much more as an attacking mid, uh, should be a point of discussion within the team and should be a point of discussion that Pep should actually consider. I mean, obviously, we're not footballing experts, but seeing his approach to the game, I feel he might be a better asset to than he is right now centrally.
That's a good point
So
you make. Especially if you notice some of his best performances from last season or standout performances. I think he really played well against Arsenal at home. He really played well against Bayern Munich, both home and away.
yeah,
And in both of these games, both teams, Arsenal and Bayern, were trying to come at us. So it was end to end. And he was a lot better when he had time to play those passes because there were so many
Mhm.
gaps in the opposition defense. So I think he's just a player like that. If you compare his time with Aston Villa and his time with City, or how he is right now, I think the key differences are that he's gotten a lot better in ball retention. He just doesn't seem to give the ball up, which is a vital asset to have in a Guardiola team. But what he's lost is he's become a lot slower, and that
yeah,
doesn't just mean like taking the ball and running down the left wing. It's also got stuff to do with cutting inside and taking a shot. He's much slower than he used to be in his Villa days, where he would get the shot away before the defender would close him down. That's changed a lot. But he's also gained ball retention, so something's got to give, right? I think he's a somewhat different player to what he used to be at Villa, and it wouldn't be completely crazy to try him out in midfield. Like, I still think he should play this season as a left winger primarily, mostly because we have plenty of midfielders, right? And
yeah.
they need game time. But if there's an
We
injury crisis, or we're going through a busy period in the schedule where there's games coming every 3 or 4 days, then I would love to see Doku as the left winger and Jack Grealish at LCM. I think that could definitely
Definitely.
work.
I
yeah.
remember
So
the initial approach of Guardiola when in the 17-18 season. He used to play De Bruyne as the left centre mid and he used to play
Yeah,
David Silva as the right centre mid.
yeah.
And
okay,
the attacking that we used to have at that time was something that we can possibly dream of now. That was too fluent, that was too quick, that was too smooth, and that was too good.
And
Every
I think
single
especially
it's
time
still
he
the
had the
peak
ball,
of
those
Pep
people.
ball, as we call it.
Yeah, yeah.
We had
it
two
was
absolutely
pep ball.
legendary offensive midfielders, and protecting them was a legendary defensive midfielder in Fernandinho. I think that
Fernandinho.
midfield is peak.
Before moving ahead, I just because today is deadline day. So yeah, there are a couple of things interestingly that just came out. So first thing was that Bayern has not bottled one, they are not bottled two. They have bottled three deals actually. Joao Palina to Bayern is not happening. He has been sent back to London. Armel Bella Kocha to Bayern is also not happening from Southampton. And Trevor Chalobah on loan to Bayern is also not happening.
I think Thomas Tuchel just should just stop his obsession with Premier League players. Like, there are players elsewhere. Just
And
look at them.
if any Liverpool fan is watching, so Ryan Gravenberg to Liverpool is signed. Palina's falling off is not going to impact on Ryan Gravenberg to Liverpool deal, so that's happening for sure. Apart from
That's a
that,
great deal for Bayern.
has anybody heard of this name, Luka Jovic? Does that ring your bell?
He's still
Yeah.
around.
So this bloke is going
The
to AC
Serbian
Milan.
beast.
Free transfer.
Haaland before Haaland was Haaland.
So that's happening.
I
But
remember.
the bigger news is coming out. The bigger news is coming out from the stable of Paris Saint Germain that Randall Kolo Muani to
That's
Paris
off.
Saint Germain is off. It's not
Thank
happening.
God.
Hugo
Thank
Hugo
God.
Ekitike had been offered to Eintracht Frankfurt in a player plus cash deal, but Ekitike rejected Frankfurt. He wanted to come and play in Premier League, and especially he's looking to go and play in West Ham, as has been reportedly said that he wants to go to West Ham and play. So it's a crazy day. Everything is happening quite crazy, and I think the Randall Kolo Muani to PSG is like this is too much because you have Gonzalo Ramos as well. But
Hmm.
then, yeah, I think so. The German window is already closed. Italian window is gonna close in next 2.5 hours, and the English window is gonna close in next 5.5 hours. So
I
let's see how
remember
Saudi
it's
window
gonna
exactly.
doesn't close until another week, so
Yeah.
you
Yes,
never know.
apparently, it just came out that Al Ittihad might stable a bid of 200 million pounds to Liverpool for signing Mohamed
I
Salah
hope it
next year.
happens. Give them 500 million. They're not going to spend it anyway.
Yeah, they're
They're
gonna
not
spend
going
it
to spend
anyway.
it for 6 months. They're not going to spend it for 6 months. Might as well give them the money.
Exactly. So I don't really care. By then they'll be dusted. So probably
Yeah.
Klopp even
Yeah, yeah.
leaves. If Salah leaves, I
Basically,
think that's the dominoes would
this is
start falling.
I think that this is like how far you can resist uh, our offers. Like they're gonna because it's 20 days left in the window. They're gonna tempt them again and again and again. Like how far? Like till when you break off? Okay.
I think they're
At
not
what
going to
price
break
you break?
off until Salah himself breaks off because Salah has the
Yeah, because
opportunity to be the highest earner sports person in the history of mankind.
yeah.
That's the type of money we're looking at. And
I mean, yeah, basically. So in January, when Ronaldo was being seen as the face of Saudi Arabia,
yeah,
in 6 months that face will not be changed to Mohamed Salah if
that's what they
this
want to
deal.
do. And I hope it
So
happens.
yeah, because so for the fact that what I believe is that Mohamed Salah still knows that if not this year, then next year he'll anyway land up. But the fact that with the offer that has been tabled by Al Ittihad, would it remain the same? Because apparently he has 1 year left on the deal by next year. So maybe that offer that Al Ittihad is tabling it now, that might not be in a similar case because you have Neymar for Al Hilal, you have Ronaldo for Al Nassr. So I think so in the PIF club structure you have Al Ittihad left, and Al Ittihad,
Yeah.
even though they have Benzema, they're still going all guns blazing to have your Benzema and Kante and now Salah. So I think so. It's just that they will kind of tempt him in the fact that he'll break. But again, if he breaks, Liverpool fan base would be fuming. They will be in like the meltdown that Liverpool fan base will go. It would be written. It would be written in a separate chapter in the history of
Let's
football.
just say
That
I'll pay good money to watch that.
I'll
And
I'll
so will
have
Al
I'll have
Ittihad.
I'll yeah, yeah. Oh, that is definitely there. I mean, I think so. So if there's any way to go to Saudi Arabia and watch some, these guys are attraction to kind of have that. Like for example, what MLS is doing with Messi is like he's there for
Yeah.
2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
what more do you want? What more do you want to kind of come out and buy those overpriced passes that we sell to kind of give you a glimpse of Messi for 90 minutes?
I mean, if Al Ittihad get Mo Salah, I'm gonna go and watch an Al Ittihad game. So
I'll
please,
do
Al
that as well.
Ittihad, make it happen. I will love you
I
from the
think
bottom
so.
of my heart
If
if you
Al
take Salah from Liverpool.
if this game happens, I think so. I might consider going for that Club World Cup game in Saudi Arabia if it happens. I mean, they are
Ah, wait,
participating in it.
the Club World Cup next year.
No, no, no. It's happening in December now.
The one this year. The next one, next year is happening in America. The big one,
Yeah, the big
the
one. Yeah,
actual World Cup, the new format that they're doing.
new format. Yeah. Speaking of formats, let's jump into the one where we'll see a group stage for the very last time, the UEFA Champions League draw. And I and it is safe to say that the amount that we saved on, not including those add-ons and everything, and then we kind of collected it, put it in a suitcase, and delivered to UEFA. You better give us a good draw. You do not fuck this up.
I think this
Like
helps.
I
Uh,
I read out opponents. Okay, I read out opponents. It's RB Leipzig.
yeah.
It's Red Star Belgrade,
Hmm.
and we have young boys. Now, the first thing that my first thought was basically that Haaland playing against that hostile Serbian crowd.
That'll be something. Yeah. I
That will be
mean,
something.
as far as atmospheres go, I think Carvena Zvezda probably have the best in Europe, if not the world.
Yeah,
So
and I think
it's going to be
it's the
great.
most daunting one as well. Like it's one of the most daunting atmospheres as well
Yeah.
for any.
Yeah. It gets pretty hostile. Especially this will be the biggest game that Carvena Zvezda will be playing since their
Yeah,
match against Liverpool, I believe it was a
yeah,
few years ago in the Champions League. So
3 or 4 years ago, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, so it will be absolutely packed. The stadiums will be absolutely packed. Should be a great atmosphere in a great game. Um, but yeah, as far as the match itself goes, I think all six games should be pretty simple. What I'm
Hmm.
expecting is for us to get the job done early, win the first
Yeah.
four games. By then, it should be wrapped up. We should mathematically qualify as number one in the group by then, and then we can just rest some players in the busy winter period. So that should help a lot. This draw helps a great deal.
And we can do that like
The only
those
thing
last
I want out of the group stage
we
is
can kind
for Haaland to feast.
Yeah, we are coming for
The
that
only
Ronaldo record. We need that Ronaldo record.
Definitely.
of so like by the way, boys, I mean if you think of it, you're basically entering into this Champions League as defending European champions.
Let's
Like
go. Let's go.
Still
what we
can't
used to say
believe
that चाल हमारी चाल में उछाल आ गया थोड़ा.
it.
We are basically entering a defending European champions.
I,
Whether
I,
it's
It's
I
rival
would
final.
like
unreal.
to
Yeah.
I would like to take this moment and quote a very very significant guy from
That's not you, right? That's not you,
or
right?
in no, definitely not me. Neither am I'm important nor I'm famous. But yeah, I
You're
would like
very
to quote.
important for sure, and famous you will be soon.
Definitely. We will be there. We will be there.
We will be there.
But yes,
We will
I
be
would
there.
like
We
to
will be
quote.
there.
I would like to quote Nawazuddin Siddiqui from a very famous show called Sacred Games. And I remember exactly there was a scene in
That was such an
how
anticlimax. Man. That
how
was such an anticlimax.
anticlimactic can you be?
Okay. I'll guess that I'll complete it just because in the light of what happened, what success that achieved in India.
Yeah,
Chand pe hai pun.
I was expecting the same.
before I could quote, I was given a copyright strike. Thank you very much, Netflix. So
Yeah. I mean,
as I was trying to say, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, when he walked into the club after getting all the money, he was like, "क्या बोला था?
oh,
पिछली
I
बार
got
क्या
it.
बोला था? औकात,
I
औकात."
got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
At least you finished it this time.
Yeah. At least, and you got to hear two quotes from the same guy. So yeah, I mean,
Plenty of
but
quotes in that series. Absolute gem.
yeah, but it was unfortunate that it happened at a time when censorship was really high, and then you have to kind of chop it off and everything. I mean, yeah, it was like the intentions were good, the content was good, but the timing was timing went against the reason. But if I have to talk about one group over here, that one group which should be in the conversation is
Group of death.
Group F, the group of
F
the
in the chat.
legit group of death. F in the chat, the legit group of death. I think so. In the moment I started watching football, especially Champions League, I've never seen any particular group in such a like this is a group where anyone can qualify. I'm not even saying that PSG will qualify and other things. Look, all four of them have the similar stake in getting those first two spots. It's not just PSG at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell. I genuinely cannot tell who's going to qualify from this group because I think all four
Exactly.
teams are so closely matched. I think if I had to pick a standout, it would still be PSG, but they've started the season pretty poorly under Lucha Garcia. Um, Dembele's looked pretty poor so far. Again, it's only a three-game sample. I don't want to read into it. Things
Mm.
can change by then. I still think they have a pretty decent squad. Same with Dortmund. They've had a lot of changes. They recently signed Niklas Fulkrug, so that's a good striker
Yes.
to have in their hands. Uh, as for Newcastle and AC Milan, I think so closely matched. They've got a pretty decent squad with two or three big names. Um, I think, with the exception of PSG, who have arguably like the best player in the world, if not one of the top three at the very worst. So, but that being said, I think it's a dysfunctional PSG team. I wouldn't
It
be
is.
massively surprised if they were bounced out in the group stages. And given that, assuming that, I really expect Haaland to win the Ballon d'Or next year because he's probably not going to win it this year.
You did you take a pause while saying next year? I was like, are you is it a Rupam Nag exclusive that Lionel Messi is way ahead of getting Ballon
it's it's
d'Or?
just it's just the probabilities, right? Like
Hmm.
his
I
PR
don't,
team has done enough. He has
It
historically
is
good PR.
honestly. Like okay, if you're talking about Ballon d'Or, so I have to put it out this. Does the importance or significance of Ballon d'Or with the passage of time, is it going really down? Like at some point you will see in a year that no one would even care whoever wins Ballon d'Or at a point.
I think I'll have to disagree because as long as you care about individual trophies, I
Hmm.
would still think that people would always consider the Ballon d'Or to
Yeah,
be
because
the highest
as
accolade.
we start labeling this being more towards like a more towards being influenced by your PR or how
It's been
much you
influenced by PR for centuries now. Like
okay
if
that
let's say a random player, like if Sir Stanley Matthews was playing today,
hmm.
he would just be known as Jared Bowen. He's not going to win a Ballon d'Or. So it's not the same as it used to be. It's a very
Hmm.
different award. A lot depends on the media talk, and Messi is going to win the Ballon d'Or because so many people on social media, in the mainstream media as well, are claiming that he should win. Do I think that he
They're
deserves
rallying
it?
behind
I
it.
don't. I really
I
don't
think
think
so.
he deserves it.
One of the arguments that I've heard about this, and I think so that does not even count one of them. That Haaland is too young. He can do this again. He can win it later. Messi is 34. We
In
won't
the
gonna
same
see
way,
him.
Messi has seven of them. Like it shouldn't matter to him,
Exactly.
and it
Like
wouldn't
yeah,
be the
yeah.
first time he's.
like post like after having those one or two, I think so. For you, this would be like meh. It's like your eighth Ballon d'Or, or just another
Yeah,
Ballon d'Or for you.
he's already beaten Ronaldo. It's not like they're both on seven and he needs one more or something like that. He's done
Exactly.
everything he can to prove that he's the greatest player of all time. I think that is beyond debate.
Like basically,
But
see, getting that world being the driving force in winning the World Cup,
yeah,
I think it is something. We're not
yeah.
discounting that. But then you're discrediting what Haaland did in Premier League as well, or not just Premier League, even in club competition, you could see him being like a lightning force, which has never been seen in recent years, so to say. So I think that when you say that Messi should win it, I think that you're kind of discrediting what he did as well. Your only merit at this point is the World Cup. If you see him in club football for PSG in those 2 years, he had did
Absolute failure. I
absolutely
mean, he lost
nothing.
the Coupe de League as well.
Yeah, I
So
mean he came out in the open and said that those 2 years of my life were probably the most terrible years as a person, as a footballer. By the way, that tells much about PSG basically. But coming back to what we're saying, that I think so, like you're kind of putting everything in that World Cup basket. That okay, he was the driving force behind winning the World Cup, and that's why you get to him. But then you're
Yeah, I
discrediting
mean,
what he just did
But
as well.
seven
but then
games don't really
if
help.
you have to consider previous renditions of Ballon d'Or, we have seen cases in which people who did win a lot but did end up winning Ballon d'Or for the sole reason of winning the World Cup. If I have to quote players who have done this, one of them would definitely be Fabio Cannavaro in 2006.
Yeah, yeah, fair point.
Because if we consider 2006 had a lot of different players who could have definitely won the Ballon d'Or, and Cannavaro being the only defender to have ever won the Ballon d'Or just doesn't seem to be. I don't know. I honestly didn't think he was that deserving to win the Ballon d'Or at that time.
Yeah, I do agree. But at the same time, this wouldn't be the first time that Messi has robbed someone deserving, right? I think in 2010 and 11, in fact, both years should have been Wesley Schneider and Franck Ribery, like especially Ribery. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think Ribery had a better season back then than Haaland did last year, and Ribery
Hmm.
still didn't win it. So how can Haaland win it when Haaland is just 22 and Ribery was in his absolute peak? He was regarded as one of the best players in the world by everybody. Like a lot of people called Haaland a tap-in merchant, that he's not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
good of a footballer.
they still call him. They still
Yeah,
call him
he's a great goal scorer. He's a great striker, but he's not an incredible
complete
footballer.
player.
So,
He's not a better footballer than your Kanes and your Mbappe. That's the thing.
exactly, exactly. And you didn't have that argument against Franck Ribery because he was genuinely one of the best players to ever grace this planet, and even he didn't win it. So I really don't see Haaland winning it either, even though he probably should.
So basically, what
Someone
I'm trying
else
to say,
who should win it even before Haaland is Rodri, but that's a debate for another day altogether. He's not even a candidate.
I mean, the accolades that Rodri has received, I think that doesn't justify his talent. I mean, he should win more and more of that. You know, in I think so in PL team of the year, if I'm not wrong, he was not there, right? Or
Uh,
this year or previous year.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
in PFA,
Casemiro. They had Casemiro in the team of the season. That's what I remember.
I mean,
And if we have to consider,
you
to
don't
be
have to say
honest, I remember
everything beyond.
I remember speaking to you only, Samir. I remember speaking to
Yeah.
you regarding the Rodri thing, and I clearly remember I told him कि I honestly have a feeling, and this might come out as very controversial, but I honestly feel that Rodri is slowly upstaging De Bruyne as the best midfielder in the world, regardless of the fact that he's the best CDM right now. But he slowly might be becoming the best midfielder in the world.
I think he already is.
Yeah, I think so.
I
I
think
think
he
so.
already
He is,
You
but
could see basically someone who started as a CDM and is now basically becoming a chance creator. He's turning into a goal scoring midfielder.
is.
I
Yeah,
think so. That is that transformation of him. I haven't. It's been long that I've seen someone undergoing that path and kind of turning like if the question that I've asked regarding Gundogan, that who's gonna take those minutes, who's gonna fill that void. The first thing that I think so that comes in my mind is Rodri anyway, because and that's why signing Matheus Nunes and Mateo
yeah.
Kovacic also makes sense. And Rodri also said out in the open that Kovacic coming in would kind of help me to express myself really more, and when I can go ahead and I can play in that number 8 position where I can create chances for the team. But since I was saying that whatever we sort of said about Ballon d'Or, so for all of these hot takes, please subscribe to our channel, share with all of the fellow blues and everything, and get them on. Just get the family rolling. Keep on increasing the count. By the way,
Absolutely, you
before
can
going
share it with your fellow Reds, you can share it with your fellow Blacks, you can share it with your fellow Whites, you can share it with your fellow Yellows. And I do
oh,
not
are you
mean
saying
any
Flash?
racist language by that. I
Like
mean
the
by the
internet
teams.
up to the
I mean by the team. Before I get cancelled and before I lose my license, the
Yes.
doctor, I do want to rectify myself.
Okay.
It was as the
Buddy,
team. Reds mean
newsflash.
Liverpool and
It
United.
won't be
Yellow
you.
mean you Wolves.
No, no, no. Slow down, slow down. So Shankar Mahadevan, slow down. What I'm saying is it's not you. It would be us who would get cancelled. Okay, it would not be
Exactly.
just you.
Exactly. We do not want to get Joao cancelled from YouTube, so please do not take it in any other
No.
sense.
Okay, news flash one more, and this is pertain to City, by the way, and this is not related to Cancelo. Oscar Bob has been considered
Damn
as
it.
an option by Lazio as an alternative to Mason fucking Greenwood.
Interesting.
Welcome to
I don't know what
Deadline
to
Day,
make
Bob.
of it. I considered him like the backup right winger, even though we usually would probably play like a makeshift right winger, like Bernardo Silva or Foden or Doku there or Alvarez there before considering Bob. But I think after those players, it was probably going to be him.
But I
So
don't think so, Bob. I don't think the doors of Bob are closed because you had like McAtee, you had
yeah,
like
uh,
Tom and
I think yeah, he needs to stay. Somebody needs to stay, right?
happening because uh, even early on it was already reported that Pep Guardiola won Oscar Bob because he gave him like very substantial minutes in your preseason as well, and he always has this guinea pigs in himself. Like they have, and plus after Cole Palmer left, you need someone to step into those shoes and fill that void as well. So Oscar Bob is seen as a player.
That'll be
And speaking
Lazio.
of
Oscar Bob
yeah,
to Lazio.
linked with Lazio, but I don't think so. It's gonna happen this late for sure because I don't think it's gonna happen this late. And speaking of City players, newsflash: wow, Cancelo is in Barcelona. I think so. The
Good for
green light
him.
has been given.
Good for him.
Good
But
riddance.
but see the good for him, but Rubam, this thing that this is not a buy option as well. So next year will
I
come
know it's
back
a
to
terrible
us.
deal for us because whatever he did, however he behaved, he is one of the greatest fullbacks to have ever played for City and one of the greatest fullbacks I have ever seen uh, live. I think out of all the players that I've seen live, George Cancelo against Burnley last a couple seasons back, Premier League, was the best
Two
individual
seasons back,
performance.
two
Yeah,
seasons
a
back, I
couple
think.
seasons back. Yeah. So he is genuinely an unbelievable footballer. The things that he can do with the football, very few people on the planet can. So it's a shame it ended like this, and it's a bigger shame that we're getting nowhere near his value. So, but he needed to go,
I
and
think so. If
that's it.
this,
That's that.
this works out, if this works out well for him in Barcelona, surely there might be offers for him because last season when he was at Bayern for 6 months, he didn't get to play much. So I think so. And as I was discussing with Doc, is like that whole Laporte thing that didn't went in our favor is because the recency bias that he didn't get to play much last year, and that is being factored when anyone kind of looks for around to approach him
Yeah,
and kind of get him, even though he is by far the best ball playing centre back I have seen in the recent years. But again, it didn't work out. So this if we get to play like 60-70% of the games in Barcelona and with no pressure of kind of signing him permanently, you might kind of see him some offers next year. So I think so that is the hope within City board that he performs well, so they can offload him next year and cut their
yeah.
losses, or even make or even kind of get that amortized figure and then run. So before signing off, I just want to ask you guys regarding your prediction for the Fulham game and your first team, like your first 11 for the game.
I'm gonna go for a nice, solid 3-0 win. Let's keep a clean sheet at home. Let's sign off for the international break nicely, quietly. No, no dramas. would
No
like to
dramas.
wrap up the first part of the season comfortably. As for the team, probably going Edison in goal. I would like to see Guardiola against Traore. So Guardiola on at the left in defense. Give me Diaz and Ake as the centre backs, and give me Kyle Walker on the right. As for the midfield, I'll go for the mainstay Rodri, um, Foden, Kovacic, and I would love to see Doku start. So Doku, Haaland, and Bernardo Silva.
Doc,
I don't think I can probably one up Rupam's projected lineup, but if I have to say, I yeah, I definitely want Doku to start. I want to see how well he plays in the Prem, but I would also want to see if we're somehow able to pull this off. I am not sure. Will Nunes be able to play? Will he be
no,
considered? Will he be?
he hasn't trained. I think that he went for medical yesterday, so he probably would have one training session if he had today.
And
It
he
will be
hasn't
more of
trained in like 4 or 5 days
a,
because he went on
and
sabbatical.
also yeah, he was on
Yeah.
strike as well. So I don't think so. They'll risk him to start in this game. Probably be a bench option, but he's an
Hmm.
unused substitute in my opinion.
Yeah. Hmm. Probably
Yeah.
he can come.
So
He can probably come from the subs as a Rodri replacement once we see that guy probably tired to his brim like he is at the end of every game.
yeah, I think so. For
Yeah, I'd
me,
love to see him.
I'll kind of agree with the score prediction. I think so. I'll go with 3-0. I won't be pragmatic as I used to be earlier. That just get the win. Okay, I don't care about the score line, but I think so. With this particular and personally, I doubt that Palina would be involved because of what happened with the Bayern and everything. So just keeping that in mind and looking at this squad, I think so. A comfortable 3-0 win. In previous season, we did face a little bit of a problem. I think so. We nicked it by winning 2-1
That
win, but I think
Alvarez screamer. Yeah.
Alvarez streamer. Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Again this time, I think so. We have our squad is shaping up in something else, and I think so. Fulham would be the first game where we'll have a complete squad, and barring Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones, of course. But we did get enough bodies in our hand to kind of make it go.
Yeah.
So before wrapping it up, एक और question I think so दिमाग में है. Since we're talking about UCL draw, मुझे लगता है कैल्विन फिलिप्स को अब शायद गलती से फर्स्ट टीम में जगह मिल जाए because of the draw we had.
Could possibly.
Come on, I mean,
Maybe.
give that lad a break here. Come on, if he's
Yeah,
staying, I
sixth
mean,
game
the
of
Champions League,
the
the Champions League is
sixth game of the
meant
group.
for him. These games are meant for him.
Send him on the plane to Switzerland. Let him play against young boys.
I mean, Savannah, Zada, like your Red Star Belgrade is also something where you can see. I mean, I want to see him against those hostile crowd and shushing them up. Sounds amateur,
Yeah,
but
I
come
don't
on, man.
exactly see that happening.
Yeah.
I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he turns it around, but we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I think so. I mean, the games, even if we get some of the games, just play around and prove yourself that you are there, and maybe secure a loan move or a permanent transfer next year. I think so. The writing is on the wall with Nunes
Yeah.
saying that no one trusts you, man, and you're holding on to something. You're holding on to a mirage, basically, which is difficult. But yeah, I hope good things happen for him. Yeah, so that's it from all of us over here at Boys in Blues. Firstly, thank you so much, Rupam, for coming over here. It's been a
Anytime.
pleasure
Pleasure is all
hosting
mine.
you. Over here, and I think so. We'll see him more and more. We are in talk. We are in talks with Rupam on deadline date to sign him on loan
Here
for
we
Boys
go.
in Blue. Yeah, see, you heard it from the horse's mouth. Here we go. The man has agreed personal terms with us on
Yes.
stream. So yeah, we'll get him for the more podcast as well. And it's been a pleasure listening to you, honestly, to your thoughts and everything. And I really
It's been a
glad
pleasure
to
having this thing.
have
Yeah.
you on our pod where we're celebrating kind of 100 subscribers and more to go. And Doc, फिर आ गया साला मैच फिर आ
Yes.
गया ये but yeah
I'm always there. I'm as omnipresent as Rodri on the field.
yeah
There you go.
yeah हम लोग उसे लीच बोलते हैं but ठीक है omnipresent बोल okay and so this is all of us signing off from Boys and Blues. Take care and do well and also enjoy football while watching whichever team you support, but don't forget to like the video, share it with your fellow blues, share it with your fellow football enthusiasts, subscribe and just join the family. So in the end, City Delight Islands. City Delight.
Come on,
Come on,
City.
Sid. Come on, Sid.
Yeah, I said the same thing in different words. See you, man. See you everyone.
See you, lads.
Bye bye.